Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. On this week's episode, I'll be speaking with Dawn Botkins. Dawn is the childhood best friend of executed serial killer Aileen Wuornos, who had murdered 7 men within the span of 12 months. I've known Dawn going on 5 years now, and I've spent probably hundreds of hours on the phone with her. Over the past 30 plus years, Dawn has given dozens and dozens of interviews about her friendship with Aileen, so I wanted to focus this interview around her last visit with Aileen and everything that led up to the execution. Here's my interview with Dawn Botkins. I'm here with Dawn Botkins, the childhood best friend of executed Florida serial killer Aileen Wuornos. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, Dawn. How's life treating you in Michigan?
Well, it's going down to 45 tonight.
So it gets pretty cold during the evenings?
Oh, well, today it is. It's always cold here. But I always worry about my propane. It's the most thing, that's like $1,500 a year. So, of course, I'm worried about that.
Let's talk about you and Aileen Wuornos. How and when did you and Aileen first meet?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I was best friends with her sister, Lori, and my brother was best friend with Keith. And Keith got sick. He got cancer of the throat. And I went to my mom's every day to take her granddaughter. And I would always stop by Keith, say, what do you need? And he needed this, he needed cigarettes, and blah, blah, blah. Always made sure. But I remember the car. He said, that car is for you, Dawn. I said, oh, okay, whatever. I know it's not going to happen. So I took him out there and gave him his last meal. And he went out. I said, hold on, Keith. You're like 6 inches taller than me. And I had to help him out. And I put him in the car. He turned on the radio. I had McDonald's for him, potato chips for him, pop for him, anything he wanted. And I had a great big fat joint. I know that's what he wanted. And I said, no, we got to get you in the house. And I said, hold on real tight. And he did. And I took him in there, got him in this bed, and put all his blankets on it. And I said, I hope your brother don't find out Barry. And he said, he won't. And I said, well, if he does, well, then maybe he should call me because I'm going to tell him you got a problem. You shouldn't take care of your brother like you did. But he died soonly after that. And then Aileen showed up at the funeral. I said, hey, which one's your mom? And way in the back. And I feel so bad to this day that I didn't go over there and smack her in the face and say, God, you didn't even treat your daughter right or your son. But I didn't. I'm kind of respectful when it comes to that. I'm very respectful. But that was awful. But she did come there. But she see me. I haven't seen her in a couple of years because she knew I married Dave. I love. And so she sat right next to me. And I said, which one's your mom? She pointed her in the back. God, you can tell where Aileen got her eyes from. Her mom. And you know how everybody tells me she's got such beautiful eyes? She's got eyes like a shark. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I just got a different side of her, the laughing side of her. And our last visit, I mean, it was so funny because there was like hundreds of people out there and they kept saying, are you Dawn Botkins? I said, no. Because it wasn't my turn. It was the turn of the people that she killed. The family members were there. And Nick Broomfield says, you want to go up there and say something? I said, no, 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 no. This is their moment. I'm not going to go interfere with it. That's not right. And that's not right. He understood that. He finally said, yeah, you got a point. So we went for the I said, well, she asked me, is there her last visit, she's allowed to have a one person, media, or somebody else. I don't know who else. I said, well, I am going to invite Nick. I know you don't like Nick Broomfield, but I do. You know, he's been calling me for years. And so he got to visit with her. Then when I went up there, it was perfect because they were closed, completely closed at the commissary. I said, open up. I promised my friend I'd bring her some stuff in. And that's why she didn't eat her last meal that they were going to give her. And they said, no, we can't do that. We're closed. I said, no, you're opening. That's all there is to it. Get the warden here. I don't care what you get. But she is going to get her 2 calzones, her Mountain Dew, her Coca-Cola, her 2 bags of potato chips. And the funniest thing, it cracks me up. She's opening she's eating the barbecue chips, and she says, why would you get me these? I don't like them. I says, baby, it's because it's been on your list for the last 6 months. And she said, oh, yeah, you're right. I said, yeah, no shit. So she was so full, and we laughed for them 4 hours so much that how many people do you have to wake morning when they're executed? Most people can't do that. They stay awake all night long. They're worried about it and all that shit. Not her. They had to wake her up for her execution. And that's why when Nick said, you want to go up there and say something? I said, no. This is family members' turn. Let them have their moment. Which is only right as far as I was concerned. She laughed so hard the guards were waiting for us to cry. But she did say one thing. She said, will you get on your knees and pray to God for me? I'm like, okay. So I did. Something I normally wouldn't do. But I did. And so she prayed to God for us for forgiveness. But I think he forgave her a long time ago. I mean, she asked for it so many times. What, 2 years? All Bible. She would write me something in the Bible to look up. Well, that would take me 7 fucking hours. Excuse my language. So I went to the store and I ordered 2 Bibles in our names, and Jesus Loves You, Aileen Wuornos on hers. But that's when Eric ripped me off.
When you first met Aileen, what was your first impression of her?
Well, actually, it's pretty good because she come over to my house looking for her sister, Lori, because she knew Lori and Keith lived at my house. And I said, well, she's not here right now. Why don't you come on in? Though she might be back in a little while. In the meantime, her and I, what was we, 15, 16? Something like that. And she says, well, why don't we go to the mall? And I said, if my dad catches me hitchhiking, I am dead meat. I mean, maybe in those days it was all right, though. We're talking the 70s. Because I married Dave in 75. So that was way before that. And her and I just got close. And she said, want to go to the mall? And she loved the hot dogs there. And so we went to the mall, blah, 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 blah. All those kind of... But the funniest thing is she said, how come you don't carry a purse? And I said, because I don't. I got pockets. Why would I carry a purse? So she insisted on buying me a purse and filling it up full of makeup, hair stuff, and all that stuff. And I said, okay. Well, when we got back to my house, I said, I told you I wasn't meant to carry a purse. And she said, why would you say that? I said, we left it in the car we just got dropped off from. I thought that was funny.
So you've done so many interviews about your and Eileen's friendship. So I want to talk about something different that you haven't publicly spoke about.
On that subject, I want to tell you, I've done a lot of interviews, but when they would say they'd give me $5,000, I said, no thanks. All I want is a trip down to visit my friend. And they did that. That's the only reason why I got to see her, 13 times? I wasn't concerned with the money, even though I was losing the house and blah, 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 all that kind of crap. But my main thing was to go see her. And she just smiled. She was so happy.
Were you the only one that showed up to visit her that entire time, or did anybody else show up while you were there?
Nope. Except for at first. That was Steve and Arlene. I call her Mommy Dearest. But anyways, that's when she was in jail. And they ripped off so many pictures from me. But you know what? I don't really give a shit. I got all their addresses here. I'd like to write her, why don't you send them other pictures back? But it ain't worth it. I got so much on my mind. My husband died. And I was married to him. Been with him for 51 years. And I wouldn't have met him if I wasn't hitchhiking with Aileen. And he doesn't pick up hitchhikers. He went to a Lutheran school. His cousin was here from Colorado, I think. And he says, look at those two blondes across the street. And he yelled out, hey, girls need a ride, which we did. Which they asked us, what are you going to do? We're going to go out to eat at the same place we do. And on the way out, they says, will you sit in the front seat with me? I said, I guess. And his cousin said, girls want to go party? And she says, what kind of girls do you think we are? We're not that kind of girls. We're going to Dawn's house. And he dropped us off at our house, of course. And 3 days later, Dave come knocking on the door because his cousin left. And he said, would you like to go out with me? Well, he was my first boyfriend. How was I supposed to know if I should go out with him? And I looked at my mom and she said, yeah, he seems like a pretty decent guy. And I was with him ever since. He didn't care for Aileen. This is true.
So when you did go down to visit Aileen on October 8th, 2002, the last time you ever got to see her, what was that process like?
The commissary was closed. I said, no. I promised her a commissary and the things she wanted. And I said, go get the warden. And so they did. And then I had a handful of stuff, an armful of stuff for her, and a candy bar. She loved her candy bars. But, and I asked the guard, can you carry my coffee for me? And she said, nope, it's against the rules. And I said, well, I'll do my best, but if it spills, I'm not cleaning it. Hope you know that. And so we got in the cell, and we laughed the whole damn time. Well, first of all, they had 8 seats sitting around, like we're going to sit in the 8 seats around the guards. I said, there ain't nothing we said that you haven't already read and heard. No, go get the warden again. And so they did. And I said, we're going to sit way down there so we can sit by ourselves. And I brought everything into her, and I had to feed it to her and put the pop up to her with the straw so she could swing, because they cuffed her. I mean, I can't believe that. But I said, no, I want the pictures, our last pictures. Well, the guard said, oh, my God, we're almost out. I got to go out to my car and get more film. And I said, no, we don't need no more. We know what we look like. Otherwise, we should have had 15 of them.
Do you remember all the food that you bought her that day?
Oh, yeah. She loved her calzones. She loved her barbecue chips and regular chips, Mountain Dew, and the Coca-Cola. All I wanted was the coffee because I dehydrated myself. Because she told me at first, if we have to pee, that stops our visit. And I knew, so I dehydrated myself because I thought, shit, if I have to leave the prison, I got to walk down where the alligators are for like a mile or two till I get to the highway and wait for Dave to come through. And she finally, when I told her that, she said, that's against the law. But on our last visit, she says, oh, no, I feel like I got to pee. There's no bucket around here. I says, then piss your goddamn pants because I'm not leaving. She says, well, no, they just take me back to my cell. You got to go out there. I said, well, you never told me that at the first. I wouldn't have dehydrated myself. I think that's funny.
Did she drink and eat everything that you had bought her that day?
She sure did. I handed it all to her. And we got to get far away from all them guards, but they knew. They've been reading our letters all along. They know we were best friends. And I said, if you got a problem, call the guard.
How long was the last visit?
4 hours. And then when I go out to the car, I said to the guard, because I could hear Aileen saying, I love you, Dawn. You're the best friend anybody ever had, blah, 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 blah. She was going on that. I said to the guard, come on, can you open the door quicker? I did not know Nick was hiding in the back seat. I said, would you expect me to be crying? No, this is the day this girl's been waiting for. And then all of a sudden he said he don't smoke. So I didn't have a cigarette till we got back to the hotel. And so when we got back to the hotel, there was one guy. He said, I knew you or who you was. And I said, well, I'll do the interview with you now. And that's the one that's friends to the end. And the paper. Which makes sense. Funeral home said she's not here. I said, no, this is the funeral home she told me to go to. He said, no, she's not here. They already started the autopsy. And I had to argue with him for at least an hour. I said, I promised her I'd see her body. And then when I went in there, and finally they wheeled her up, I could tell they already started the autopsy. I said, nah, I don't care. I'm not here for me. This would be very depressing. I'm here for her. I promised her I'd check her body out, make sure it was all there. And I said, and then I had to pay $250 just to have her brought her ashes to my house. And I said, you belong in Michigan. She wanted to be on Flagers Beach. And I said, no, I don't think the people here want you here. You're coming home where you belong. You're coming to my house. And so she got the most beautiful tree out here. It's a walnut tree. It took us 2 years to put that together with all the rocks around it. Oh, it's beautiful. But she deserves that, as far as I'm concerned.
Throughout your guys' last visit, what did you guys two talk about?
Oh, God. We talked about our childhood and shit like that, and the guards, and they weren't going to let us take too many pictures. I said, put the peace sign behind her, which I knew she'd get pissed off at. But that was funny on my part. Because in the 70s, that's what we did. Now, she took it as a sign of the devil. I said, are you kidding me? No, I wouldn't do that behind the sign of the devil behind your head. My God, I've known you forever. And when they've thrown you out of parties, I was the one that was there to pick you up. out of the snow and said, let's go to my house. And stuff like that.
Mhm.
She remembered all that, though.
Was she keeping track of time at all during the visit?
No, we weren't. We weren't paying no mind because we knew they were going to tell us when it was up.
Did she seem anxious or nervous at all?
No, she was so damn happy. When she went to sleep, she went straight to sleep. She's not used to staying up that many hours and eating that much food. So I knew when they took her to her cell, when they finally did, she zonked. They had to wake her up for her own execution, like I said. How many people have to be woke up for that? Usually they're awake all night, scared pissless about it.
When your guys' visit ended, what was the final conversation you and Aileen had parted with?
Just how much she loved me. And I was the best friend. And then we did that on our knees praying, which is something I don't normally do, but I did for her because it was important to her. No, she just knew where she was going. No, all she thought of, all she could do was, I could hear her yelling, "You're the best friend, blah, 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 blah." You know, and I knew that. I already knew that, so she didn't have to tell me. I mean, her sisters and, well, Keith was dead by then, but nobody wrote her. I wrote her every day. Sometimes she would send me 11 letters in a day. Shit. I keep up. She'd write, "Man, you can outwrite me." Well, yeah. I know I can.
So everybody knows her last infamous words. Did she ever talk to you about what she was going to say as her last words, and do they mean anything to you?
I know exactly what it meant. The rock is Jesus Christ. According to her. But as far as I'll be back, I'll be back. She's back in my heart. And she's in my yard under her tree, which is perfect. But no, the rock is Jesus Christ. That way. I guess I can understand. I don't read the Bible.
Were you there witnessing her execution?
No. I was supposed to. But they changed the rules. They had the family members there. But they were still supposed to have me there. But no, actually, it still wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been. That would have been so disrespectful. That was the family's turn.
Did you have any interactions with anybody there other than Nick Broomfield or,
No,
any of the
because-
victims' families?
No, because everybody kept saying, "Are you Dawn Botkins?" I said, "No. Why does people keep saying that? Who is she? What'd she do?" Blah, 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 blah. I had so much fun at the hotel. There was this dive hotel that has nobody there except for 2 rooms with kids and all the toys out there. It was jam-packed. All you could see is CNN, Fox, and all that there. So I just pretended. The guy there in the front, he said, "People keep calling for you." And I said, "Well, I'm not here." And he said, "Yeah, I know." It was so funny. I went downstairs. You know how you're allowed to get that free coffee? And there was like 6 people in there saying, "We're here for the Aileen Wuornos thing, blah, blah, blah." I just listened to it. And I went upstairs and I said to Dave, "Oh my God, they're obsessed with Aileen."
After her execution, what was the process of having to claim her body and claim her belongings?
Well, the prison sent me the belongings that was in there. But with her, I just got to identify her like I wanted to. the funeral home gave me a real hard time on that. And I said, no, I'm not going anywhere until I see your body. Well, she's already been cut up. She's down there. I said, I don't care. I'm here for her, not for me. It would be something that would make me sick. But there's no reason to make me sick. This is what she wanted. And he said, can my family come down and meet you? And I said, why? And he said, because you're an incredible person. And I said, you got to come out and meet my husband. That's when they took him out to the car. Because I wanted to get going so I can have a cigarette. And then Nick was hiding in the back seat. Like, shit. So I had to wait till I got back to the hotel. There was one guy sitting there cleaning his camera. And I walked up to him and I said, I am Dawn Botkins. I don't want nobody to think her best friend was not here. I definitely was here. So he put it in the paper, friends to the end. She was there. Of course I was there. That moment, found a chance in hell. I mean, I'm asking you, do you think I desert her? No.
Yeah, I don't think you would.
No way. No way. No matter what I had to go through. Then at the funeral home, they said, well, you're going to have to pay $250 to have her because she's being cremated. Blah, blah. No, she wasn't cremated. Yes, she was. And I said, seriously? She didn't tell me that part. And so that was the end of my money. That's how we lost our house. Made sure she had $500 every month. Don't know how I did it, but I did it.
So, Dawn, you yourself have been a victim of violent crime in the sense of losing a family member to violent crime. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, my brother was murdered. But you know what? When Aileen was on death row, I kind of was on death row myself. I'd wait to hear Dave snore at night. Then I'd get up and I'd write. And I'd go to bed a few minutes before the alarm would go off because I had a full-time job. Had a lot to do. And still stick with my writing. And I did. And I noticed in all her stuff, I had letters I have here. Thousands and thousands of them. But she's got Arlene's, she's got all Steve's, all court cases, and all kinds of things. People want cards from her. Cards she sent me and all that. And they want to spend a lot of money on that. It's just like nuts. She was right. And I used to write her and say, you're the most conceited person I ever met. Why would anybody want a letter from you? You killed 7 men. That's nuts as hell. But then I did start saving them. After, Dave said, maybe she's right. Well, obviously she was right, wasn't she?
You said that your brother was murdered, correct?
Yep.
What are the details surrounding that?
Well, he was shot by his best friend. I don't think it was bent. But my brother just got to jail. And I promised John Kane, because he gave me the $7,000 to get him out. And I said, I promise I won't bring him to your house. And I didn't, because I made that promise. And, but anyways, he found his way to the house. And John Kane has been sick for like 3 days. And he couldn't take no more. He said, no, Ducky, go. And he shot at him. But he shot him right in the chest. And I love my brother more than anything in the world.
And was that before or after?
Before, because I wrote her all about that and Keith. What he went through.
What was that process like for you, going through that having lost your brother to gun violence?
It was horrible. But I had to do what I had to do.
What was the ultimate outcome with the conviction and sentence from the man that killed your brother?
Like, the weird part, he was put in prison up here by me. So I used to write him, oh, last thing he said to my brother, look at you now, asshole, as he was bleeding to death. So I'd get a real nice Thanksgiving card, and I'd sign it, look at you now, asshole. There ain't nothing he's going to do about it. He already has been in prison for killing my brother. Why would he kill me? He's got a nice walnut tree. It's perfect shape because they used to trim it all the time. And it's all rocks around it. It took us 2 years to put that together. Not her ashes. We put that around the tree. It was only about 1.5 feet because I said to her, because I lost my house because of Steve Glacier. Our very first house, we had to move in this one, which had no water, no furnace, no nothing. The windows were all broke. The doors were all out. But we built a home.
You lose your first home to Steve Glacier.
I told Steve Glacier, I have called him. I said, I know you went through a lot with Arlene, and I feel sorry for that. But you and Arlene give her everything she wanted to for court and all this stuff. So I thank you for that. And I did. Now, Arlene, I got her address. I just found it the other day. I'm going to write her and say, where's the rest of Arlene's shit that you're supposed to give me?
Is there anything that you would like the people to know about yourself or Aileen before we conclude this interview?
Well, that we were best friends. And I've had a lot of best friends. And I've had to lie to a couple of them. But like Geraldo, it was about friendship. And I said, no. And I took my best friend Debbie, who has since died, and then my best friend Jerry. I said, oh, she said to say hi, which Aileen would say, she's such a bitch. But I wouldn't say that. I said, she said to say hi. And she said, well, tell her I said hi too. And I thought, that's a better way of getting writing during the day when Dave was at work. And she would just pop in. Because I love her too. I'm a very good friend. I've had very best, but they've all died on me. Sucks. Can't believe Dave died. Everybody died. Nobody thought I'd outlive them with my MS and all that shit. But I guess I'm just goddamn strong. That's what I am.
That was my interview with Dawn Botkins. Thank you for listening.